morning and welcome to Red Cloud's 2022 Pre-PDAC Mining Showcase. My name is Alina Islam and I'm a Senior Research Associate here at Red Cloud Securities. Next, we are pleased to host NorthIsle Copper and Gold and have with us Sam Lee, President and CEO of the company. Sam, you will have 15 minutes for your presentation followed by a 5-minute Q&A session. Attendees, please feel free to ask your questions using the Q&A link and we'll get to as many as we can at the end. With that, Sam, I'll turn it over to you to start the presentation.
Thanks very much, Lena. It's great to be back here at Red Cloud. Lots has happened since the last time we presented back in the fall. We have initiated and completed the first phase of our very exciting Northwest Expo drilling program. We've defined a system that potentially has a deposit that shows about approximately 2 times the grade of an average gold copper porphyry system. We've also introduced a strategic investor in Michael Gentili and Pierre Baudouin back in December, and we've very quickly accelerated our drilling program for 2022. So lots has happened. Very keen to get into it. I will be making forward-looking statements, so I direct you to the cautionary statements in front of you. Just to put it in context, the asset that underpins the project is the North Island project, which is approximately a 22-year life of mine, approximately $1.1 billion NPV, 8% after tax, 156 million copper equivalents over the life of mine, and a short payback of 3.9 years as defined in the preliminary economic assessment. The objective of the company is to develop the project as quickly as possible to essentially fit into the incredible deficit that people are calling for in the copper markets over the next 5 to 10 years. We do have a strong management and leadership team that's looking to shepherd this along. And as I said, our district scale exploration that we are currently undergoing through our exploration program has a number of targets that we are advancing in quick order. Won't spend too much time on the copper markets, but as I mentioned before, there is a significant call on the copper supply deficit over the next decade. We believe that we could advance our project within this within this period of time. Copper today is obviously trading at its historical highs or near its historical highs, as is gold. So this is certainly the right time for our project and our strategy to move forward aggressively. So we've got a very strong balance sheet, very strong shareholders to support the company's strategy. As I mentioned, Michael Gentili and Pierre Baudouin recently came into the register in December. We've got over $8.6 million in cash as of September 30th, pro forma of that offering. We obviously have been making some progress with regards to reducing the valuation gap in our share price over the last year and a half. And we have a clean balance sheet with very little warrants outstanding and no debt. So just looking at our competitors, we are a very large copper gold porphyry system that compares very well from a valuation perspective against a lot of our peers. I think that there's a significant value disparity with respect to our intrinsic value as defined by the 3 analysts that cover us and based on analyst consensus and a number of our peer groups. So, this is something that we obviously feel very strongly about. This is the value proposition. This is the reason why I'm in. This is the reason why Michael Gentili is in and a number of our shareholders. But our objective here is to close this valuation gap in quick order based on the fact that we have one of the top 10 projects in the world by size within our current NorthIsle system. Our management team is many years of industry experience. We all come from big cap companies, but we all have entrepreneurship that is really required to advance projects such as ours moving ahead. But the underpinning experience really does allow us to credibly go after and identify, explore, finance, and develop these opportunities as they come about. So we're based in BC. The relevance, obviously, of that is that it's a very attractive area to contemplate mines that are carbon neutral, carbon net zero, given that 100% of the power generated in BC is from renewable energy. This is obviously within our purview and something we will progress as quickly as possible. The other objective, obviously, for us is to ensure that we are connecting with our communities and First Nations partners, which we have done, we believe, successfully, and certainly will be indicated over the next couple of months as to what transpires out of that. And then certainly, you know, as it relates to our project definition, we want to build something that actually makes sense for the communities and areas that we're in. And so we're undergoing a number of activities to optimize the size of the project as is currently today. We're helped significantly by where this project is situated. It's as you can see in the map there, we own 100% of these project tenements. It goes across a 25-kilometer porphyry district, starting at the historical Island Copper BHP mine, which is right there in the bottom right-hand corner. Our project is defined by Red Dog and Hushmu, and our exploration targets are defined by the brown circles: Northwest Expo, Goodspeed, McIntosh, and Pemberton Hills. We're only about a 20-minute drive from Port Hardy on a paved road to the southern end of our property, and about a 40-minute drive along a paved road to the northern end. So the infrastructure is very attractive. Power lines, obviously, there's 2 substations that exist in the area. We've got a deep sea water port, or there is a deep sea water port that exists at the Island Copper Pit, which is again owned by BHP. That's only 25 kilometers away. That is the closest deep sea water port from continental America to Japan, which is where BHP sold its copper and moly concentrate. So in terms of the grade, I think we're kind of average as it relates to copper porphyries in BC. We do have a very strong gold kicker. Approximately 33% of our value distribution based on revenue is gold. We have in total in the indicated category over 4 billion pounds of copper equivalent. If you want to look at this from gold perspective, that's over 9 billion pounds of 9 million ounces, excuse me, of gold equivalent ounces. And then there's an additional 2.8 billion pounds of copper equivalent in the inferred category. So it's a huge system. It's a huge deposit, and it's something that we are planning on growing very quickly in the future. The project also works because the strip ratio is extremely low. So the Red Dog and Hushmu deposits collectively comprise of the project of a strip of 0.72 to 1, which is one of the lowest in the industry. And as I mentioned, in terms of the PEA itself, this is a $1.1 billion NPV8 project. This is done at $3.25 copper. Obviously, copper today is at $4.80. So significant leverage to the upside there. From a capital perspective, it's I'd say medium capital intensity project, $1.4 billion for a 75,000 ton per day project. As I said, very levered to copper prices. So the PEA, which was released last March, was done at $3.25 copper price. The analyst consensus today is about $3.50. So at $3.50, this project yields approximately a $1.4 billion NPV with a 22% IRR. So it's a very, every 25-cent movement in copper is approximately $300 million of NPV value. As I said, very reasonable capital intensity. It shows very well against some of the larger copper porphyry peer groups. And on an operating cost perspective, we are within the lowest quartile of the industry, based on all of the virtues that I've just talked about in terms of strong infrastructure, access to power, a town, no camp is required, and the access to the port and roads and power. So it's a very attractive and well-placed project with one of the lowest costs in the industry. So that's the asset that underpins the company. The thing that we're focused on over the next course of the next year is what can we do to not only increase the project definition, but also the strategy of being better than average in terms of what we have from a grade perspective. So what we've done recently is we've drilled, and as I mentioned, announced a very exciting exploration target called the Northwest Expo. The reason why this is interesting and quite frankly very exciting is because we've essentially been able to see grades of upwards of over 1 gram per ton of gold across this porphyry system with intercepts thickness of approximately 80 to 100 meters. So the significance of this is probably 2 times the average grade that you would find in a porphyry system globally. This is not, an epithermal, veiny, ebb and swell, fuggy type of system. This is consistently through, the 80 to 100 meters of drilling that we've done. So we're very excited about this. We've defined effectively an envelope of about 480 meters, strike length by 360 meters, dip length with an average of about 90 meters in thickness across our drilling. And our focus right now is to move this ahead as quickly as possible within this year. We're getting permits for it as we speak, and we look to initiate a second phase of this drill program very, very shortly. Just to put this in context, none of this is already in the resources today. The grades are showing approximately 3 to 5 times higher gold grades than what we currently have in our project. And it's only about 2 kilometers away from the northern end of our project. So I'm perhaps a little bit presumptuous in saying that this would have a little bit of a focus of ours, given how impactful this could be on not only, again, exploration, but also project development. The other areas that we're focusing on, or we're currently drilling Macintosh. We're waiting for assays on the remaining drill program on Northwest Expo. We are going to start our IP work in the Northwest Expo and Red Dog zone, and we'll also be initiating our work on Pemberton Hills, which was the large joint venture that we had with Freeport that boasts a massive lithocap, which indicates that the porphyry system is approximately 3.5 kilometers by 1.5 kilometers underneath. So a lot of drilling and exploration going on this year. Just to give you also a little bit of a glimpse of some of the outcroppings that we see. This is the one specifically on Goodspeed. This is across a 25-kilometer porphyry district with very, very similar attributes to BHP's Island Copper, and certainly the projects that exist currently on our land. This is just one example of outcropping that was revealed by our partners, Western Forest Products, that have the surface rights, logging rights to it. The porphyry-related stockwork B veins within chalcopyrite, and the chlorite magnetite or CMG alteration that we see across our system. So, it seems like every time we open up an area, we see very similar attributes. This is, porphyry elephant hunting district, and no doubt across the 50-kilometer strike. So 2022 is really going to be an active year. The plan is, we obviously still have a lot of results coming in that have been stuck in the labs over the past few months. We are going to initiate metallurgical test work on not only the Northwest Expo area, but also the Hushimu and Red Dog to see how we could increase recoveries on the gold. We're going to initiate our pre-feasibility study covering the Hushimu and the Red Dog deposits. We're obviously going to continue our First Nations engagement and drive towards a participation agreement in the near term. And then we're, of course, we've already commenced our baseline studies and our drill program as it relates to the project development drilling. So with that, I'll stop, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Sam. That was a great presentation. We do have a couple of questions. So the first one is the company expected to grow this year, either in terms of the executive or a geology team?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So 2021 was really a pivotal year as it related to succession planning. And so I'd say a tremendous amount of my time was focused on succession planning at the management level. So what we did was we brought in obviously Nick Van Dyke, who's our Chief Financial Officer, Robin Tolbert, who succeeded Jack McClintock under VP Exploration. Obviously, Jack remains as our strategic advisor. He was my predecessor, and obviously a huge a part of putting this package together. Jack obviously is known best for discovering Spence while he was at Rio Algom and subsequently at BHP. Michelle Tanguay, obviously, we added as our third hire and probably one of our most important hires as it relates to heading up our sustainability and community relations. So it has been a very active year in terms of management. On the management side, I think the answer is absolutely. We are continually adding people, certainly to support the core nucleus group that I've just defined here. So that includes first and foremost a project engineer who can essentially drive the PFS forward under the oversight of Cam Brown, who is our technical advisor and our QP for the PEA, and certainly Kevin O'Kane, who is on our board and is the head of our technical committee. So under sort of the guidance of our technical committee, this project engineer is going to be obviously advancing the engineering and project development studies ahead. We're also looking to add a team to support Robin Tolbert under the exploration program. Obviously, this is quite a Herculean task, and with respect to all of the targets that we're going after in 2022. And then, of course, certainly as we continue to retool on the management side, we will also advance the succession planning on the board side as well.
All right, great. Switching over onto exploration. I know you mentioned this earlier during your presentation. So you're waiting on permits for phase 2 drilling, but could you elaborate a little bit more on your plans for phase 2?
Sure. So everything around our, I guess, exploration program in 2022, revolves around obviously prospectivity, which is a driving force. Essentially getting the permits that we can that allow us to go after the areas, and of course drilling drill availability. So what we've outlined here in this slide is essentially the sequence that we're currently sticking to. So we're right now drilling at McIntosh and Hushamu as per the plan. We will be mapping IP at Northwest Expo, Goodspeed, and Pemberton starting over the next few weeks while we wait for permitting for Northwest Expo, Goodspeed, and Pemberton. And so while we're drilling McIntosh and Hushamu, we will be obviously conducting the IP on Northwest Expo, Goodspeed, and Pemberton. And then when we anticipate receiving our permits mid-year this year, we will start drilling the Northwest Expo as being our primary target, and hopefully putting a resource around that sometime in the second half of this year. And then effectively we just move, as we sequence receiving the permits, we move the drill to Goodspeed and then Pemberton Hills towards the end of this year. So the sequencing is effectively first priority, IP mapping in Northwest and Red Dog area. That's followed by the drilling, it's second half of this year, and then resource definition, second half of this year.
All right, well, I guess lots to look forward to in 2022. Sam, I just want to thank you for your presentation, and I want to thank everyone that's on the line today. Just as a reminder for our attendees, next up we have CMC Metals and Paramount Gold Nevada.
Great, thanks everybody. Thanks, Elena. Bye-bye.